We've got one presentation we're going to have, and it's on an area that we obviously covered a lot with the Future Oil and Gas. It hasn't been talked about as much, but we talk a little bit about AI, data centers in particular, how they need powering and energy transition. So we have Anders Bagge-Kola from Floating Power Plant, who's going to give us maximizing the value of your asset in your energy transition. So just a round of applause for Anders, please. Thank you.
So, pleasure to be here. So I'm Anders. As you can see in the picture, we do not do AI. We use AI, we host data centers, and we make AI available. But I'm here to talk a little bit about how we see the oil and gas sector as actually quite a big opportunity where we can work together. So the world is changing, and I think that's also why we are here, talking about AI, talking about innovation. Right now we have a situation where we have the biggest energy threat challenging us. Electrical power consumption will double. I don't know if you're aware, right now there is 1,000 gigawatts of projects in queue in Europe to get grid connection. A lot of those are the data centers that you will need to run the AI models you have there. And right now we import so much oil and gas from places that are not Europe. So what we have and what the oil and gas platforms we have to protect them and we have to develop them. So there's new solutions that are needed that can provide power a new way, where it's needed, when it's needed, at the right locations. But it also has to fit into this energy system that we have today, where we have oil and gas platforms, we have data centers, and we have a lot of batteries and grid elements. And that is what we do at the core. So we offer what we call green energy on demand, which means we can provide green energy 24/7 anywhere. And how do we do that? Well, we have a floating platform that is designed for integration. We can host all kinds of systems, which I will come back to, but the key thing is we have a long duration energy system based on hydrogen. So the simple where it usually starts is you have an asset that needs constant power. So when the wind is there, we will send you the power directly. When there is too much power, we turn that into hydrogen and we store it. And when there is too little wind, we take the hydrogen and we turn that back into power with a fuel cell. So all the client sees is a cable in the right voltage and the power when they need it. So that's the core of what we do. And when people see a wind turbine, especially in oil and gas, they think, oh, that's just yet another wind turbine. This is the slide I would like for you to remember when you leave. We are not just offshore wind. It's literally power 24/7. It is independent of subsidies. We don't need a grid connection to shore. We don't do tenders. We do power of service, so you can actually not buy what we do. We're building the first one right now, so in Spain. We have a 10-year lease. We just bought a massive Siemens wind turbine for that platform. We have been recognized as one of these EU flagship projects that can actually make a difference in the energy transition. So that means quite a lot of cash, and that's of course nice. And we are actually supported by a lot of oil and gas majors, but also by a lot of utilities, which is also our pipeline down the line. We work in many different markets, remote islands, so Canary Islands, Caribbean Islands, Mediterranean, all Southeast Asia, that ship in gas and diesel because they need the right power quality and demand coverage. We work a lot with data centers that is moving super fast, and you say, what is floating wind doing with data centers? But it's when you have a platform designed for integration, then we were challenged by a hyperscaler, that is an American one, and on the NDA that said, can we not put one data center in each platform? So yes, we can host a 7 to 8 megawatt data center, cool it with seawater, and power it 24/7 with each 15 megawatt wind turbine. And of course, you will build a lot of them. And then, of course, we have oil and gas, which I'll come back to in a moment. So all these clients, same problem, need power, high cost of power, have constraints on doing other things. And of course, that's what we believe we can do. But when we look at oil and gas, then it usually starts where there is some oil and gas platform that has high cost of power because they ship in diesel, or they are becoming gas deficient and have to find new solutions. And they say, okay, we would like to look to buy power 24/7 on a lease agreement. So we can either be grid following, or we can actually be grid enabling for the platform. But then the conversation usually extends because this is a new domain, and oh, you can actually provide that. But we also have compression, we have subsea pumps, we have EOR that we can actually not power right now in our business models because they're too far away, so it's too expensive to power them. Then we start looking at that. And then the conversation always comes to say, but our asset, it has end of life in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. And what do we do then? And that's actually where it becomes interesting and why we are here at an innovation conference, because that's what we want to talk about, because we actually see your asset as an asset. I know it's a bad Danish joke, but we've already looked at actually making hydrogen and actually using the same infrastructure to export hydrogen, but actually the data center place is actually something we think when you reach end of life, you can transform it into a large data center hub. And I had a question earlier today actually saying, but keeping a topside alive is 10 million euros or something like that. But just to put the numbers there, a 1 gigawatt floating wind farm for data centers is 4 billion euros, and the equipment you put in there is 5 times that every 7 years. So the numbers are quite big, so it does stack up, at least in some cases. So usually it's a process, and of course that's why we are here. We want to, you may not all be the ones that own and operate platforms, but I'm very sure you know somebody that does. So please do that. So if you look at how we usually work, we don't sell technology. That's quite important to us. We don't want you to buy our kit. We want you to lease it or to buy the power, whatever the contract is. It's super simple integration, and I know it's not simple when you take a cable into a topside, but if you need 5.6 kilovolt or you want 11, we don't care. We will transfer it to you, so we can come in your existing switchgear. We provide the power when you need it, so we will follow your demand curve. And quite surprisingly, for most of the clients we work with, we are, if you look at cost of gas, cost of CO2, cost of NOx, then we are truly competitive with what you do today. But actually what we really want to challenge you on is to say, yes, let's power your asset first, but let's turn it into something when you get close to decommissioning. You can maybe extend some cost, and we can do something that is quite magical together. So that's why we are here. I know we are not AI. We're out here in the stand. Come talk with me and Oliver if you want to hear a little bit more or have some ideas or some feedback to what we are trying to do in this sector. That was my 5 cents before your cup of coffee.